So what if I told you that the most important part of your sales pitch has absolutely nothing to do with logic or data? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the real driver behind every single purchase, and, well, it's probably not what you think.
Let's just dive right into a situation that I'm sure is super familiar. You've laid out the perfect, logical case for your product, right? You've got the data, the ROI is a slam dunk, and you still get a hard no. So why? Why does that keep happening?
Well, the answer lies in this really common misunderstanding in how we traditionally sell. It's a problem we're going to call the logic trap.
I mean, it's the classic story, isn't it? You present this airtight case with all the proof in the world, and the prospect still decides to stick with their current vendor. They'll give you a bunch of reasons that sound logical, but the real motivation for their decision, that's buried way deeper.
Okay, so if logic isn't the one calling the shots, what is? What's really pulling the strings here? The answer is surprisingly simple, and it's wired deep inside our brains. It's all about emotion.
Yeah, you're seeing that right. 95%. Now, people can debate the exact number, but study after study confirms the same thing. Emotion is the real powerhouse behind almost every single purchasing decision. And yep, that even includes those huge B2B deals made by execs who are supposed to be completely rational.
This chart just puts it in black and white. One study found that ads designed to make you feel something saw a 30% jump in purchase intent compared to the ones that just gave you the facts. The takeaway is crystal clear. Feelings, not just facts, are what get people to act.
And this quote, this just nails it. This is the key to the whole thing. People make a decision with their gut, based on feelings like trust or excitement or even fear of missing out. And then they grab the logic and the data to justify that emotional choice, both to themselves and to everyone else.
Now, here's where the problem really comes into focus. This creates a massive disconnect because sellers and buyers are often on two totally different journeys. It's like they're speaking different languages. One is talking logic and the other is talking emotion.
Just look at this slide for a second. It shows the whole mess perfectly. We, as sellers, are often trained to lead with logic. Here are the features, here's the data, here's the ROI. But the buyer, they're starting from a completely different place. They're starting with emotion. They're asking themselves, do I like this person? Do I trust them? Do they actually get my problem?
And you know, this misalignment isn't just some abstract idea, it has very real consequences. Buyers get defensive and start resisting your data. Negotiations become tense. And the real irony? When the buyer finally does shift into logic mode with their questions, the seller, who is frustrated by now, often starts reacting emotionally. It's the perfect storm for a lost deal.
So how do we fix this? How do we bridge that gap? Well, it's not about a new tactic. It's about a fundamental shift in your mindset. You have to stop thinking about selling a product and start thinking about connecting with a person. Ultimately, it all boils down to this simple truth. People buy from people. It doesn't matter how complicated your product is or how big the deal is. At its core, the sales process is always a human interaction. And building that real, authentic connection, that's everything. So this slide breaks it down into 4 key pillars for building that human-focused approach. And it's about more than just being friendly. It's about listening for what's not being said, you know? It's about talking about the fears and anxieties they have about making a big change. And it's about finding those shared values that build real, lasting trust.
Okay, that's all great in theory, but let's get practical. How does this new mindset actually translate into techniques you can start using on your very next sales call? All right. Our first technique taps into a really powerful psychological principle called cognitive dissonance. All that means is it's that uncomfortable feeling we get when our actions don't line up with our beliefs. In sales, your job is to gently point out that tension, to make the prospect wonder if their current situation really matches up with their goals. And you do this not by bashing their current choice, but with a surprisingly simple and kind of brilliant question like this. Instead of asking what's wrong, you ask them what they like. Now, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but trust me, there's a reason this works so well.
See, this question is clever because it triggers something called the negativity effect. When someone lists a few good things, their brain almost automatically starts looking for the bad things to create a balanced view. And before you know it, they're the ones telling you all the reasons they actually need to make a change. You didn't even have to say a word.
Okay, next up, let's talk about information. Buyers today are just drowning in it, right? They're totally overwhelmed. Your role isn't to be another fire hose blasting them with more data.
Your role is to become a sense maker, to be their trusted guide through all that noise.
And this is exactly what being a sense maker looks like in practice. You're not adding to the chaos, you're their filter. You help them cut through all the jargon, figure out what's truly important for their business, and feel genuinely confident in their decision. That is how you build incredible loyalty.
So where does this all lead? When you make this shift, it completely reframes the entire goal of what you're doing. You stop chasing a signature on a contract, and you start building a real partnership. The sale isn't the finish line anymore, it's the starting line of the relationship.
Which leaves us with one last thing to think about. The next time you walk into a meeting, ask yourself, what is my real purpose here? Is it just to sell a product? Or is it to find a partner that I can actually help succeed? Because I promise you, the answer to that question will change everything.